Hello everyone, today we're going to go over some of the macro photos I've taken. I recently got into macro photography, true macro photography anyway, and just wanted to show off some of my favorite photos and maybe teach you a little bit about some of the stuff that I've taken these photos of. Apologies for any audio issues. I'm outside right now, so there's going to be wind noise, there's going to be vehicle noise, and the audio isn't going to be the best because I'm recording this on my phone. I do not have my computer with me, so that is a big reason. Alrighty, so first thing we have here is this wheel bug, and these are very cool. This one was a very large specimen, probably about 1.25 inches in length. You could see that crest on its back that gives it its iconic look and the name, and the very large rostrum that it has. And this one was very defensive when I got up close to it. I had to wait for it to calm down a bit because it was getting into its a defensive posture where it will turn to face the danger, and it will raise up its front legs and extend that rostrum or proboscis. And these guys give a very painful bite from what I've heard. I've never been bitten by one, and I don't want to. But anyway, he eventually calmed down, or she. I'm not sexist. Eventually, this bug calmed down and allowed me to take a few nice photos of it, this being probably my favorite as it turns its head to look at me. And these are ambush predators, so they'll lay in wait for another bug, butterflies, moths, caterpillars, any other invertebrates, really, to get too close, and then they pounce, jab that proboscis or rostrum into their victim, and inject a toxic fluid. And then they'll just suck out the insides, kind of like a spider in that sense. But these are true bugs, not arachnids. Very, very interesting creatures these are. Moving on to this little flower that I found. This one was very small, only about the size of my thumbnail, so a little over 1/2 inch in diameter. And one thing I found very interesting about it was those little around the edge of the yellow portion of the flower. You see these little almost mini flowers there. I just found that very interesting. I believe it's some sort of daisy, but I'm not entirely sure. I'm not that well versed in flowers. Here's a mushroom that I found. This one was very small, probably about the same size as that daisy. I just found it very, very interesting. Just kind of sitting there, just growing, doing his little mushroom thing. And then this unidentified insect larvae here, I found very neat. Very difficult to actually photograph because it was wiggling around all over the place, just, doing its thing. It was very still at first, and this one was very small. He was only about 1/4 inch long. But he was very still at first until I started moving around the grass head that he was sitting on, and so it was quite difficult to get a picture of him. And you can see that light pink coloration that gets darker towards the end. That nice shiny little head he has. And just look at that. Almost reminds me of butterworm, but very much smaller, and also in North Carolina and not South America. I'm not entirely sure if those silk strands are from this particular insect larva or from something else, maybe a spider. So not entirely sure on that. If anybody can give me a positive ID on this creature, I would be very interested because I found it quite cool. This one isn't really a very good macro photo in itself, but I thought it really illustrated the differences between adult and nymphal stages in assassin bugs. This here is a nymph of an assassin bug on a window screen. That background you're seeing is window screen. So that gives you an idea of the size of it. And this will turn into an assassin bug, much like the wheel bug that we saw at first. Very, very interesting. Look at those bright colors. That's probably an aposematic, or not aposematic, but that coloration is probably there as a warning, saying that, you know what, I'll bite you. And I guess that would be aposematic since they do inject a toxin. Here we have a coppery leafhopper. I don't really know much about leafhoppers in general, but this is just a very interesting little guy that I saw just chilling on the bark of a silver maple. And this was just after a rain, so you've got that interesting wet lichen and stuff on the bark in the background. Very, very cool. Here we have a split gill mushroom, or rather 5 split gill mushrooms. You can see another one off in that corner there, the upper right. And so these are a very fascinating fungus species. They're one of the most widely distributed fungus in the world, spanning all 7 continents. And they are an edible species, very widely eaten in Mexico, I believe. And you can tell along the gills here where it got its name. You can see they're split along the edge there. And they're very, very interesting. They're one of the most widely studied fungus species in the world, largely due to their very wide distribution. And they have an antifungal property, which I found very interesting, them being a fungus themselves. They're also they have antiviral capabilities as well. So they're very, very cool mushrooms, and the fact that they're edible as well, I found just so neat. I am probably going to try and find a couple of decent specimens and see if I could get a recipe for them and cook them up and eat them, just to see what they taste like. Apparently they're very tough mushrooms. And they are perennial. They do come back. They're year-round. During dry spells, they will shrivel up, and when it's wet again, then they return to their glorious form that we see here. Here we have just a random dead leaf that I found on the ground. Found it very interesting, so I took a photo of it. I like the contrasting colors here. And then we see some water droplets on these clovers. I believe this is actually not clover in itself, but sorrel. But I found these water droplets very interesting, especially the one big focal water droplet with the out of focus ones in the back. Very cool. And this is a bolt on a telephone pole. Very, Jesus. People don't know how to drive around here, I tell you that. You see this bolt in its natural habitat on a telephone pole here. Very nice texture, too. I found this quite interesting. And now that I am looking closer at these photos, I realize you can see the top of my shutter here, which means at that 1/250 shutter speed I'm using is slightly too fast for my flash, which is kind of upsetting. And you can see it across the top there again still. And this is I believe, brown-mantled slug, native here in North Carolina, going around cleaning up detritus and eating the lichens and mosses that we see here in this photo. Very interesting. Love the textures in this. Here's a very dark photo, but it's the one of the only ones I could get of this little, very active little jumping spider. Not sure of the species on this one, and we can't get too good of a look at it in this photo. I didn't really nail the focus on the eyes in this one, though, but I do like seeing these little guys around. Here's a slightly better photo of that jumping spider. Still just missed focus on the eyes, but you can get a better sense of its coloration, and you can see the placement of the eyes is very interesting. You can see the eyes there on the side of its head there, and the four in the front facing forward, giving it some very incredible vision for hunting. Here's a moth that I took a photo of a little while back, and you can see here it's laying eggs. I'm going to zoom in down here on the eggs. You can see they have little dimples on them, kind of like a golf ball. Very, very cool. I only noticed after I had taken these pictures. And just look at the individual little scales all over its body. It's just very, very cool. I love moths. They're very interesting. This is a dandelion seed head. You can see the scale of these macro shots is just absolutely great. Seeing all these individual seeds is just so cool. Here I pull the focus out to get a good view of the little fibers that help these float through the wind and find their little place to grow. This is milkweed seeds. I opened up a milkweed pod, and you can see the seeds here. I love the textures and the color contrast on this. Very interesting to me. This is a green lynx spider. You can see her eating her meal here. All the little flies I found so cool on this. She's eating, and they're eating as well. Very interesting. You can see there are 3 flies in this photo, I believe. Perhaps even one more on her underside there. Here's a top view of that lynx spider. You can see 3 of these flies all gathered around, 4 actually right here, all gathered around on her lunch. And then one in the upper left-hand corner, you can see just above her leg there on the leaf. And she was sitting on a blackberry leaf. Here you can see her legs just poking out from under the leaf when I first discovered her. Here's a grasshopper just kind of chilling. And I really enjoyed taking this picture, getting real close to the ground, taking this picture, and then discovering that something I hadn't noticed before. The little purple flowers on these grass seed pods here. Just very cool, what you don't see until you get really close in. This is one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. I really love this photo of a wasp. I'm not really sure what species it is, so if anybody can enlighten me on that, feel free. But look at the... I really nailed the focus on this. I'm so happy with this photo. I nailed the focus on the eye on this one. For once, I hardly ever managed to get a good eye focus on these insects. They're just moving around so much. But I just love the colors and the... I love this picture. This is one of my favorite photos I've ever taken. And that's the end of this. We'll go back through real quick and take another look. So, what did you all think of these photos? Did you like them? Do you have any tips for me? If any of you out there are macro photographers, any tips for me to improve? I would like to do this more often. Maybe even take you with me on some of these photo shoots, virtually, of course, with this COVID thing going on, and just because I like to be alone when I'm taking these photos. But yeah, let me know what you think, and if you would like to see more of these. I'll probably post it whether you want them or not, so yeah. Anyways, have a great rest of the day, guys. Peace.